Hello and welcome to Star Xpose TV. I'm Aldwyn Altuney, your host today, and we are up to our second version of Star Xpose TV, our second episode, and we have a very wonderful man with us today, someone I've known for a very long time, and in fact about 15 years now I've known him, and he's been a great supporter of my animal action events. In fact, performed at my very first Animal Action Day and performed again at the 10th annual event and several other events I've done. He's always a fantastic supporter of community projects, and he's been in the music industry for 35 years. So we're going to be chatting a bit today about what it's been like actually being in the music industry for 35 years. And please welcome Roger Davy. Hello, Roger.
G'day, how you going?
Excellent. Thank you so much for being our guest today. And
My pleasure.
It really is a bit of a battle, I believe, to to not just be in the entertainment industry, but actually to survive for 35 years. So what are some of the secrets, I guess, of making it long-term in the entertainment industry?
I think patience. I think that you don't go into this business to make $1 million. You go into this business because you love what you do. So I believe I've always had a passion for what I've done, and my first thought is always to create something that people don't expect, and also share my gift with people. So that's probably the key thing that why I've done what I've done for the last 30 odd years, is because I love what I do and I love sharing that gift with people.
Yeah, and you do have an absolutely phenomenal voice, I must say. Now, is that something you've really had to work on over the years? Have you had a lot of vocal coaching, or is it something that you're naturally born with a bit of a gift and then you fine-tune it?
I think everybody's got a natural kind of ability to be able to make sound, but it does take many years of training the muscles to be able to sing, like I suppose, opera. I've had some fantastic singing teachers along the way, it's a costly business in terms of maintaining that level of perfection to be able to deliver the voice, because when you're on stage and you're performing, especially opera, it's such a finite business in terms of people hearing that sound or hearing that song that they've heard before, and if it doesn't, so there's always that little element of making sure that it's the best you can possibly be every time you get up and perform, because there's always little critics out there that'll tear you down.
Indeed. And your performance is very varied. You can really do quite a lot with what you do. You're very well known for your Pavarotti performance and many other styles. So how did you first start out in the entertainment industry and actually get to doing what you are now?
Well, I started off, my family background was that my grandparents used to live right next door to us, and when we were kids, we would go into our grandpa's place, which was next door. Like there was a door in between in the fence, so we would go in there and see Nana and Granddad. And my granddad was a great singer, and we had a pianola, and Granddad would sit around the pianola and sing songs, and we'd always love to listen to him and everything like that. So we used to have these little soirees on a Sunday, and we'd listen to Grandpa, and Nana would be on the pianola. Playing, and Grandpa would be singing, and so there was always music in the house. My mother was a massive fan of Frank Sinatra and all of the wonderful old musicals, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Kismet, Oklahoma, all of those wonderful musicals. So music was part of our family all the way along, and so when it came to Frank Sinatra, of course, was something that Mum played all the time, had every single record. So when I first decided to do an audition or do a sing for a singing teacher, I sang a Frank Sinatra song. So Frank Sinatra had that sort of leaning towards that Pavarotti down the track, I suppose, that kind of charisma, kind of personality performer. So I've been singing since I was about 19 now. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And I love Frank Sinatra. Do you remember what song you sang back then?
My Way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Frank Sinatra was a big part of our family, and Mum used to just listen to his records all the time. So yeah.
Wow. So since you were 19, you've been singing, and then how did you fine tune your voice? What sort of training did you have after that?
Well, I was involved in lots of amateur theatre when I lived in Melbourne. Did some singing at school and what have you, but it wasn't until I left school. I got into a Gilbert and Sullivan Society, a fantastic training ground for, just being able to tread the boards and, see behind the scenes and make props and pull curtains and do all those things in amateur theatre, which is it really sort of built up the love of what I did, and so singing kind of sort of eventuated out of that, and then I started performing in competitions and what have you, and then I went to the Victorian College of the Arts. I did a diploma of opera and music theatre there at the College of the Arts in Melbourne, and then it started to get really serious then, because I was starting to do some big competitions, and then I auditioned for Opera Queensland. And they were looking for members of people to sing in the chorus, and I came up to Queensland on a 6-month contract, and that opportunity then sort of opened up all sorts of possibilities for me, because I had a fabulous singing teacher who said that, what have you got to go back to Melbourne for? And I said, oh, my job and my girlfriend at the time. And he just sort of said to me that I had the makings of having a career as an opera singer. So I basically just dropped everything. I had a full-time job. I was working for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. I suppose that whole idea about working in amateur theatre kind of led me to working in television in the backstage for about 10 years. So I was working for the ABC, and then the ABC supported me because I had the opportunity to come to Queensland and sing, and so I got leave without pay for 6 months to come up here and see what I could do. And after 6 months, I had a taste of it, and I just didn't want to go back. So I gave up my full-time job and became poor.
Follow the passion.
Well, that's where the passion comes in, as I said, it's all about that passion for wanting to share your gift with somebody, and that's been my motto all my life. So
yeah, beautiful. And what do you love specifically about when you perform?
I suppose it's sharing the emotion, sharing the story of the song, or selling the song. I've sung. I suppose I'm a very passionate person, so it's like a creative outlet. Really, it gives me the opportunity to express that emotion, and then if that's then conveyed from me and then across the stage across the footlights, then I feel like I've done my job. And one of the things that I wanted to do was, as much as I loved singing with the opera companies and doing all the things I did, it was more about me being able to share that emotion with people, and for them to feel that, wherever it was on a stage, or whether it was, in a restaurant, or wherever it was. It's all about, finding that space and being able to fill it up with your emotion and bring it to people.
And I guess also share classic songs as well from the past, beautiful songs. And I've been to many of your concerts, and people come out and they just say that was amazing. They're just absolutely blown away by your performances, and by yourself and other performers in Vivace Entertainment that you've had. And they absolutely love the nostalgia of some of the old classics that you come out with, and often you'll see that they actually get so moved that they get a bit teary almost. They get they're very, very moved with that emotion. So what is the trick to actually portraying that emotion, to actually bringing that out? What do you do to bring that out?
I suppose it's just being in the moment, being in the moment, and trying to convey that story and stay within that character, and whoever that character is that I'm portraying on stage, so that's what I try to do.
Mm.
You know, it's like, I suppose it's like being in the movies or being in TV. You know, you've got to be in the moment. You've got to be feeling that you know, so that people can read what you're trying to put across.
Mm.
And the more convincing you are, and the more natural you are with that emotion, the more people will then pick that up and feel that. You know.
What are some of the songs that are most popular out of the ones you perform?
Oh, look, I suppose no one can go past the you know, the Phantom of the Opera. I suppose that's probably one of my trademark things that I love to perform. Yeah, I suppose that whole Phantom thing is something that I love to perform. Yeah, different kinds of different characters for different shows, but I suppose the love, the passion, you know, when you're sharing an emotion on stage, it's that's what's true. Yeah.
Mm. And what about some other songs? Can you list a few others that you perform?
I sing an operatic aria from Tosca. I love to sing those hopeless romantic characters, a bit like, you know, from Tosca and Carmen, and that seems to be something that I'm well known for. Yeah, so Tosca, Carmen, La Boheme, you know, Nessun Dorma, all of those Pavarotti songs. Everybody knows them, and yeah, I love to sing them too. So yeah,
Beautiful. That's great. And also from My Fair Lady, when you have female singers with you, sometimes you do My Fair Lady. And what are some other operas that you cover?
Well, we like to do a little bit of opera in some of our shows, and we like to do a little bit of operetta and music theatre. So that's why Vivace kind of brings in that those props and those costume changes and things like that. It can sometimes be proven to be a bit of a challenge as far as you know, swapping costumes and swapping props every time. And I've always got a long list of how I'm going to change from one outfit into another and come in with a, you know, with a walking stick or whatever it is. So I try to use those costumes and props to sort of just change it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. And you've got a few shows that have been very popular. Broadway to Pavarotti is one that you launched more recently. Was it when did you first do Broadway to Pavarotti?
Oh, look, we started it about 5 or 6 years ago now, and as I said, I've had various performers perform within that show. Some of those performers have kind of gone on to bigger and better things, and doing as in you know, major international contracts and things like that. And so the Broadway to Pavarotti show has become a bit of a training ground for performers coming through it. And it's been going for about 6 or 7 years now, on an ongoing basis. And we tend to sort of try and do 3 or 4 shows a year. And we just take it to the various audiences. We did 5 shows on the Gold Coast. They were all sold out last year. So I was that was sort of me putting my entrepreneurial hat on and selling tickets and targeting a particular market that, you know, that always loves that sort of entertainment. And so we got big crowds come to that, and we did the Gold Coast Seniors Week last year, which we hope to do again this year. Later on this year, we're taking it up to Redcliffe, to the Redcliffe Cultural Centre, and then also to the Event Centre in Caloundra. So we've got a couple of shows planned at the moment, and then hopefully next year we may take it to New Zealand.
Fantastic. And you've performed really all over the world. You've done some phenomenal gigs. You've performed for Olivia Newton-John. Who are some other famous people that have seen your shows?
Well, I suppose Olivia would be probably the biggest star, I suppose, who has seen my performances. She, I said, we sang at her 10th her 10th anniversary a couple of years ago. We were asked to come back. We actually did one of their business partners. He was having his 50th, and we sang at that, and that then led us to be invited back to perform at their 10th anniversary celebrations a couple of years ago. But I've been very fortunate over the years to perform a lot in Asia. I did a lot of things here, and then I was given an opportunity to go and sing, because I have a number of different solo performances that I do, and when I do that, I've got a show called The Singing Waiter, and then that's transitioned into The Singing Chef. So sometimes I'll do a combination of both, or one or the other, and that took me to the Singapore Grand Prix for 4 years. And I did my 5th year a couple of years ago as well. So that opportunity to perform at the corporate market there was very good. And I performed at the in 4 Seasons in the Maldives as well. I did a New Year's Eve show there, and that came out of the Singapore Grand Prix. Somebody saw me performing at a corporate event, and somebody had an affiliation with the 4 Seasons in the Maldives, and I got this phone call out of the blue and was asked to come and perform there on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago. So,
wow.
So those opportunities have sort of always sort of available to me. I went to the Venetian Casino in Macau and sang there for 6 months. I was what they call a singing gondolier for 6 months, working on the man-made canals in the Macau Venetian Casino. That was quite an experience. And singing Italian love songs to the Chinese, which was quite fun. So yes, I've had an opportunity to perform in Asia as well, and so as far as famous people, I suppose I've dipped my toe in the water a few times with various things that I've been given the opportunity to do.
Yeah, fantastic. And you were one of the founding directors of the Ten Tenors, which have been absolutely huge. So what was that like? How did that all come about? And that was back in 1997.
Yeah, 20 years. 20 years this year the Ten Tenors have been going, which is something quite phenomenal actually, because when we first started off, it was more of a hobby really. There was a whole bunch of guys out of the conservatorium that were kind of, going through the conservatorium and looking for opportunities to perform, let alone make money. And so there was an opportunity to perform as part of Channel 10's birthday celebrations, and I came into it after that, when they were sort of floundering around, wasn't sure which direction they were going to go, whether it was going to become serious or not. And I joined up I took on one of the directorships of the group, and there was 3 of us, and we kind of led to the idea that we would, take that serious step and see whether we could, whether we could then go on to bigger and better things with the group. So the opportunity to take it to the next level, I was involved in that, and we introduced them to a record company, and a solicitor and what have you, and it all became very, very sort of professional at that level. But in those early days, we were like, just a whole bunch of guys out of the conservatorium, trying to make a dollar. And the Ten Tenors was just about anybody who could get in, who could dress, who had, let alone owned a dinner suit, and they'd get 10 tenors, 10 of us together for publicity shoots and photo shoots and things like that. But it didn't really become serious until we got television exposure. We got I got them an Australian first interview on a show called Healthy, Wealthy and Wise at the time. And it was after that it just exploded. The Ten Tenors kind of then took around, was sent all over Australia. Who are these guys? Who are these 10 guys standing in dinner suits in the middle of South Bank? So that's kind of how it sort of started off. And we didn't even have the money to sort of hire proper, vehicles to travel around. It was like we were like 10 of us in an 8-seater bus, and stuff like that. It was those heady days were quite challenging. But yeah, it's a totally different situation now. 20 years later, the group's gone gangbusters. They're internationally recognised as one of the biggest groups in the world. They've had a lot of recordings and what have you. But it's nice to know that I was part of that original lineup, and the all of the trials and tribulations that went along with that. But it's always something in my heart that I was part of, and that it probably it may not have even got off the ground if it wasn't for my I suppose my energy at the time. And I've kind of then taken that now into what I'm doing with Vivace, I suppose.
Yeah, that's really huge. So how long were you actually with the group, and why did you leave?
Well, I was with the group for about just on 3 years, and look, it was just a time in my life where, much as I wanted to be more involved with it. It was starting to involve a lot more travel. I had a very young family at the time. I had a 3-year-old son. And I wanted to try and focus on him. So there were some personal choices in that decision. Hindsight's a great thing. I wish for different circumstances, but you move on and you learn from those experiences. Life is all about that journey, and I believe the Ten Tenors was part of that journey, and it's now led me to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's brilliant, which is, of course, Vivace Entertainment. And when did you start that up?
That started in 2000, well, it was probably the last couple of years. After I left the Tenors, it was a couple of years later that I started doing this thing called the singing waiter, because I did all sorts of things. I worked in hospitality, and I was working as a corporate boardroom waiter at some of the top executives in Brisbane, and people started to recognise me from those heady days of the Ten Tenors, and they sort of saw me and said, "Oh, you're that guy from the Ten Tenors." And so I was turning up at Christmas parties, and people were asking me to sing Christmas carols, and it kind of sort of led to a situation where people were throwing money at me, basically, to sing another song. And so that led me to the singing waiter. And then I got recognised on Channel 9, and we did the Brisbane Extra show, and the great Doug Murray, the late Doug Murray, who was a wonderful reporter. He saw what I had to offer, and he wanted to do a story on me. And so he sort of did a story about me leading from when I was with the Tenors right through until I started Vivace and the singing waiter. And then that sort of then led to other opportunities. I started doing Pavarotti impersonations, and then I was doing the Pavarotti experience. So the singing waiter and Pavarotti, and then that led to a group called Broadway to Pavarotti, and then other opportunities along the way. And then we've built Vivace up over 16 years now, and that's led us to doing operas in the park, produced all sorts of events around southeast Queensland, and now we've got also a whole leg of corporate entertainment, including our show called Surprised by Disguise, which was kind of started off as the singing waiter. It then led to an idea where we could have a number of singers performing, 2 or 3 performers performing at the same time, with that kind of surprise element, being disguised as somebody in the crowd, or as a waiter, or as a chef, or what have you. And our Surprised by Disguise is now seen by people in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. We've got performers, and that whole show's now become like a platform for performers to showcase what they can do within that show concept. So
Fantastic. And how important is teamwork when it comes to, I mean, like a group like the Ten Tenors, for example, or when you put groups together with your performers, you know, how important is teamwork, and how do you manage that, I guess, when, you know, you've got so many different personalities and maybe some healthy egos there as well?
Yeah, exactly. What, you know, what you're saying is true. You know, it's something that I mean, I've always had good people skills. But as far as the business side of things and, you know, trying to manage personalities from various quarters, you know, you're right about the ego scenario. There is, but you can't be a performer in this industry unless you have something like that. So it's just a question of managing it along the way. And I've always tried to be honest and upfront with everybody who works with me, and I think the thing that I've always tried to lean towards is that element of trust, that element of, you know, if you're putting yourself out there under the Vivace banner, that you're representing Vivace and you're supporting Vivace, and you recognise that it's a great opportunity for you to be getting solo work there where you may not be working with an opera company, or if you are, you may be in the chorus, but you're not being recognised as a soloist. And I think that's the stepping stone for what Vivace offers. Young singers come out of the conservatorium, out of their training, and they haven't had a lot of experience at performing in any kind of live situation. They have on a stage, but with Vivace, the space can be anywhere. So it can be a restaurant, it can be anywhere where an audience can gather. You can put on a performance, whether that's with backing tracks or whether that's with piano. So I believe that I'm providing that opportunity to be able to showcase what they can do within any environment they're given, where there's an audience.
It's a fantastic opportunity for people who want to perform. So how do they go about actually approaching you if they're interested in becoming part of Vivace?
Well, Vivace, as I said, I tend to I'm very, very selective of the artists and performers that I use. So I tend to say to people, if you're interested in Vivace, you can always send us an email, which is just roger@vivace, VAVACHI.com.au. And you can send me an email, you can send me a bio, and it's always good to have video footage of your performance, because then I've got an idea of how, you know, what the quality of your voice and all that sort of thing. I only take the very best performers, because of the demands on the audience, because people want, you know, there's a lot of mediocre out there in terms of entertainment, and I try to you know, set the bar reasonably high for what I offer. And if anybody who works with under us, then they're then representing Vivace, and our reputation is at stake. So I tend to be very, very mindful of that when I'm selecting performers to work with the company.
And your shows definitely are world class and top class, and people are always wowed by your shows. I know that they were blown away at the 10th Animal Action Night we did last year. People were just absolutely blown away in the crowd, and every time I've seen you perform, people are blown away. So that's testament to, you know, the quality of your performances, and I guess that makes you stand out from the rest. And that's really important, is not just having that passion, but actually, you know, having that persistence to actually make it as good as you can, and that drive and determination to make it the best you can. And then also building a team outside that. I mean, really, you're an entrepreneur as well. You know, if you think about the 10 Tenors, well, they started with a group of guys that got together and, you know, wanted to do some performances, and then they built the team, and then you got them, you know, you got them on TV. I guess you got the exposure, you got the media exposure, then they built the team, got a record company involved, and then a solicitor, as you said. You know, so how important is the outside team as well to helping performers, you know, become bigger and better known out there?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's the performance, there's the inward and the outward regards to most businesses. And as from my point of view, I've got some very, very fantastic people that work with the company, and in terms of, you know, production manager, stage manager, director, a fantastic sound and lighting company called Aisle 6 Productions. A guy called Scott Mullane works with us on a regular basis. We've been working with Scott for the best part of 10 or 12 years now, and they've been able to help me deliver some of the best quality sound and lighting, from corporate functions right through to major outdoor events. So when you've got a team like that around you, you feel very blessed. So the internal side of Vivace is very much important. From an outside point of view, the performers that work with me, they're all free to go and work with whoever they want to work with. But I feel that Vivace tries to provide that platform for those performers, so they've got the freedom to be able to do whatever they want. But when they're working with Vivace, I have that respect, and that's then, you know, that people are out there representing Vivace and promoting what we do.
Brilliant. And you've got a few shows coming up. Can you tell us about those?
Well, we've got a fantastic show coming up this Saturday night, actually. We're doing a wonderful show called Arias on the Green. The show is, the tagline for the show is Romantica, songs of love and romance. So there'll be selections from opera and Broadway as well. What I've done is, with this particular show, is I've put together 4 fantastic singers, 5 including myself, who are at that level when they're sort of still at the conservatorium or about to depart into bigger and better things. They're all top quality opera performers, music theatre performers. So they've all kind of had that sort of experience. So what I've done is I've put together a show that transcends that. So it's called Arias on the Green, Romantica. It's going to be at the Links Hope Island Golf Club this Saturday night. Gates open at 6. Show starts at 7. You can bring a picnic rug and a blanket and what have you, and there'll be food stalls there to buy food and beverages. So it's going to be a wonderful night of entertainment, 2 hours of entertainment. We were actually approached by Links Hope Island. They've seen my posts and various things that I've been doing on Facebook and Broadway to Pavarotti show and all those things, and they approached me and said, look, we've got this particular budget, can you work with it? So we're hoping that this will then lead to it becoming an annual event, Arias on the Green at Links Hope Island Golf Club. It's a great opportunity. It's a free concert. Come and enjoy some fantastic food and beverage there. You can't BYO, of course, but you can bring your own blanket and what have you. But fabulous food to be served there that you can purchase on the night. Songs from opera. There'll be Tosca. I'm singing my world famous the song that I love to sing from Tosca. And there'll be songs from Tosca and Rigoletto and Carmen. So fantastic songs. Phantom of the Opera, The Secret Garden. So it's 2 hours of entertainment. Wonderful compere by the name of Nicole Dyer from ABC Coast, Gold Coast. And also fabulous fireworks display at the end. And it's all free. Wow. So come along. It'll be a fantastic night. The other show we're doing is a show called Love Train. Now that show is we're in rehearsals at the moment for that. That's going to be a completely different show. I'm not even performing in that one. But I've produced it. I've got a fabulous director, Courtney Underhill, and it was written by a very, very clever gentleman by the name of Thomas Armstrong Robley. And it's called Love Train, and it's a celebration of Motown, disco and soul. And I've got 4 fantastic singers and 6 dancers performing, and it's going to be also another free event, but this will be at the Sunshine Coast at the Caloundra Amphitheatre. at Kings Beach. And that'll be on the 26th of August. The other event that we're looking at doing is we're going to be getting involved with Night Quarter again later this year in September. And we're bringing our wonderful show called Cirque de l'Opera to the Gold Coast, which we did at the Kings Beach Amphitheatre last year as part of the Horizon Festival. So lots of different things that are coming up that we're working on. Yeah, so.
Fantastic. And they're all free shows?
They're all free shows. Well, the Night Quarter, we're not sure about that one at the moment, but there'll be more details on Facebook at some point soon. So you can find us on Facebook as well, just Vivace Entertainment on Facebook. I have a page as well, Roger Davy, and there's also a Roger Davy Performers page as well. So you can find us all through that as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. That is brilliant. And I know you've got to run off very soon, but just before you go, any final words, any final tips for anyone who maybe wants to get into the entertainment industry, and just to give them a heads up on what they can look forward to make it 35 years is a real testament to you, Roger. So any final tips for anyone who's interested?
I think I just think you need to be very, very, very honest about what you do. But at the same time, be mindful and keep your cards close to your chest, but always be honest with what you do, because if you can be honest, especially as a performer, that honesty will then translate across the stage, and people will love you for that.
Yeah, very nice. I like that. And any final words other than that for anyone else watching?
Oh, look, I just, if you're interested in knowing more about Vivace, please go to our website, which is just www.vivachi.com.au. You can send me an email, which is roger@vivace.com.au. Please come along on Saturday night, and you'll get to experience what we can do, and it's all free. And you can also be able to, put your name on a mailing list and what have you. Please send me an email. I'm happy to put you on our mailing list. We're bumping up our social media this year, working with some fabulous people to drive our reach out to more people. So it's fantastic. We love what we do. We love sharing our gifts with people and providing that opportunity and platform for up and coming artists. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Roger. And if you're watching this, so the event again is Arias on the Green this Saturday at Lynx Hope Island Resort at 6 p.m. It's a free event. You can buy food and drinks there. And the next event after that will be August 26th, Love Train at the Kings Beach Amphitheatre at Caloundra for the Horizon Festival, August 26th. And all the updates will be on Vivace Entertainment's website, so vivace.com.au. And connect with Roger also on Facebook and the social media as well. And if you like what you've seen, then please like the video that you're watching right now and share this with your friends. We'd love to share the love, and any feedback, any questions, comments, we'd love to answer as well. So if you've got any of that, just pop it underneath where you are watching this right now. This is all over social media, so I'm not sure where you're watching this, but wherever it is, just pop a comment, question, any feedback underneath. We'd love to hear from you. And it really is about living your love and living a life you love, because life is very short and it is about making the most of every moment. So thank you so much for watching Star Xpose TV. Thank you, Roger, for being the guest today. It was absolutely awesome to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
And keep up the brilliant work you do. You do create magic for people, and I know how much you move people with your concerts and really give them such a memorable experience. And there's comedy, there's laughter, and there's tears, I think, for those that are really moved. So it's like watching a great movie, watching one of your performances. You have the best of all worlds, and you really do move people with all those beautiful emotions. So thank you so much for what you do and for your contribution and for all your support of the animal action events over the years too. It's been really fantastic to have you as a great friend and as someone I love working with as well. So thanks so much. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you again soon. Vivace.com.au, Star Xpose TV on Facebook. Connect with me personally also on my website, aaxpose.com. And you can Google either of our names and you'll find us on the social media. So let's connect and let's stay contributing and passionate and loving what we do. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.